Hello, welcome to another edition of Government to the People, Laurel Links. I'm your host, Karen Kobeck. Last edition, we had Mike Lotsky from the Department of Parks and Rec filling us in on what's happening in his department. Well, we're very lucky today. We've got Paul McCullough, who is from the Department of Public Works. He is the director there. So we're getting all the news straight from the top. All right, so welcome. Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate this, Paul.
It's nice to be here, and I'm always pleased to be able to talk about public works.
Great, thank you. Well, now it's been a while since we've had anyone from Public Works on to talk about what's going on in that department. So for any new viewers that we have out there, why don't you explain what Public Works is, what you do?
Well, public works is basically a general term that refers to construction or engineering projects carried out by a government agency on behalf of the community. The city's Public Works Department is tasked with providing basic maintenance and construction services within the public right-of-way. We plan and supervise street construction, rehabilitation projects. We pick up and dispose of trash and recycle material. We participate with other agencies in project planning, infrastructure activities that benefit the community. That is the general definition. However, Public Works actually gets involved in a large multitude of activities. It covers participation in special events such as Main Street Festival, the Independence Day Festival, River Festival. We participate in the implementation and planning of the capital improvement plan. I'll tell you a little more about this later. We prepare an annual Public Works calendar and handbook, and we distribute these to all the residents in the community. For special events, we get involved in a lot of things and emergency response support. The city's Department of Public Works is basically comprised of 5 departments that carry out these various functions. The most visible part of the Public Works is that we have 5 large trucks in our refuge department that traverse the city Monday through Friday to pick up trash and refuse from residents and commercial properties. All residential properties receive 2 regular trash pickups each week, plus 1 recycle pickup each week. In addition, on Wednesday of each week, this group makes special pickups, when requested in advance, of items such as appliances, sofas, chairs, broken furniture, and yard debris. There's a minimum fee of $10 for each special pickup, with additional charges for things such as refrigerators and tires. There is no fee for yard debris pickup. The refuge supervisor is Steve Jones. The Streets Department is the second group that I'm talking about. This is the most versatile group in Public Works in that they repair potholes in streets. They do other miscellaneous asphalt work. They provide emergency concrete repairs to concrete curbs, gutters, and sidewalks. They trim trees within the right-of-way when needed. They operate the bucket truck to install overhead signs. They replace city-owned street lights, and traffic lines are painted by them. They do crosswalks and install street signs. Our street supervisor is Tony Snowden. The third group that we have is a vehicle maintenance group. The Public Works Vehicle Maintenance Shop is responsible for maintaining the city's fleet of 203 vehicles and other special equipment that is brought over by the Laurel Volunteer Fire Department and Rescue Squad. These maintenance shops have 3 vehicle lifts, one with 75,000-pound lift capability that will be able to pick up a full loaded trash truck. It will pick up the canteen or a fire truck. It enables us to work on these vehicles in our shops. We sometimes have to send out for specialty work in the body shop, but most of the work is handled right in the shop itself. We have, it's a small group. We have the supervisor and 3 mechanics. They can do a wide variety of things. They can make up equipment pieces if they can't find it. But they have a lot of expertise. One of the things that they do, in addition to all our vehicles, is that whenever we have any special activities, we all work together as a team. But let me first just mention the last group is or there's 2 other groups. There's an engineering group, and the engineering is a small group that looks at, they prepare bid recommendations for projects that come up. They provide evaluation of plans that are submitted for special permits to the Community Planning and Business Services. They send them down to us to review them for engineering satisfaction of requirements for the city. They do a lot of various things on making sure that the city, as it grows, it meets the infrastructure needs and provide meet all the applicable codes. This small group also assists in writing grant applications to access special funding for projects that might not otherwise get accomplished. Our city engineer is Christy Fong, and our project manager is Joseph Ajaya. Our fifth and final group in Public Works is the admin support. This is another small group, but it has the most interface with the public. Alice Curto is the voice that you hear whenever you call to Public Works. She takes calls from hundreds of people every week, and she works there answering all your questions when you call into Public Works. We have a city manager or a Public Works office manager, and she is responsible for putting together the capital improvement plan. She's our recycling coordinator. She deals with the various vendor accounts for Public Works, and her name is Michelle Blair. Michelle also compiles and edits the annual resident information package that gets hand-delivered to all the residents in December.
Oh, geez. I mean, there is just so much that goes on in your department. But there's a lot that needs to be done. Trash needs to be picked up. Recycling needs to be picked up. Vehicles need to be fixed. Now, speaking of vehicles, you say, the city owns and maintains quite a few vehicles along with helping out the fire department and the rescue squad. So that takes a lot of parts and fuel and tires and all that, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. In order to help save money for the city, we have our own fueling facility. We have 2 fuel tanks on our property. One is a 4,000-gallon fuel tank that is used for diesel fuel, and the second is a 10,000-gallon tank for gasoline. We use approximately 6,500 gallons of gasoline each month for all the city vehicles, including all the police vehicles. And although this is a self-serve fuel facility, we do have a fuel card that must be used that tracks all fuel usage to specific vehicles. Fuel costs are a major cost item in the department, and we're always looking for ways that we can save money. We just recently, or a year ago, we installed this 10,000-gallon tank, and that allows us to buy our gasoline in bulk quantities, and we get a much cheaper rate that way. For parts and tires, we don't have the space to keep a large inventory for all the vehicles we have, but we try to maximize to the maximum extent possible use of local vendors where we can have quick access to their parts, and also it provides service that we're buying from city businesses. That's
great. Now, you also mentioned earlier that you work with other agencies in project planning. Why don't you tell us some of the agencies are, what happens with that?
Well, within the city of Laurel, there are 4 highways. There's Route 1, there's Route 197, Route 198, and Route 216. Now, each of these roads have their own right-of-way, their own sets of traffic signal lights, and the jurisdiction for taking care of these belongs to the owners of those particular highways.
Right.
As far as the highways are concerned, those belong to the State Highway Administration, so we work with the State Highway in trying to get the various necessary things done to these roads. They aren't always quite as responsive as we would like, but we have a good working relationship with them, and we're starting to get a lot of the things we ask for. There are also a few roads that are owned by the county, and therefore Prince George's County's Department of Public Works and Transportation is responsible for maintenance on those roads. Storm drains within the city, they're also owned by the county, and the county maintains the storm drain system. The water and sewer system is owned by another agency called WSSC, or the Washington Sewer Sanitation Commission, and they're responsible for that. BGE and Verizon own their respective lines, and so we have to coordinate with them on projects that they have. We work with all of these agencies. We try to coordinate with them. WSSC had a big impact on the city of Laurel here in the last 2 or 3 years when they replaced a lot of the water and sewer lines.
Yes.
And I don't think that we would have got that project completed satisfactorily if it hadn't been for my inspectors that were constantly on them and trying to get things, and being the go-between between the WSSC contractors, WSSC itself, the residents, and
yes, and
the just making sure that we got everything done properly in a reasonably good time.
Right. Yeah. Now, Can you give me an example of the type of interface that you all might have with other agencies?
I just mentioned WSSC,
Okay,
but
yes.
in addition to that, we work a lot with SHA, the State Highway Administration.
Oh, okay.
We recently, or a couple of years ago, we installed all the new traditional street light posts on Main Street.
Which are very nice. I'm sure a lot of the public out there agrees because it's beautiful down on Main Street. So.
Well, we wanted to extend that on Route 1, and so we spent a fair amount of time collaborating with the State Highway Administration, and we were able to get them to install a similar type light pole on Route 1 between the county line and Laurel Avenue. On Route 198 and 9th Street, we lobbied hard with State Highway Administration to get a new traffic signal installed and a new guardrail by the church. The traffic light has been installed, and just in the last month the guardrail was installed finally. On Route 198 near the Amish Market, we had a problem with the Amish Market moving out there. A lot of people, there was not enough parking, and people were crossing the street, and there was not any pedestrian countdown signals. And we worked with State Highway to get them to install a pedestrian countdown signal there. We work with, we look at all the Verizon and BGE plans. When they come in to do changes, they have to get a permit through the permit section of the planning department, and we review all those to make sure that they're doing what's right. It seems like every time we do a paving on a road that BG&E or WSSC wants to come in and tear it up as soon as we build it.
As soon as you redo it, yes.
We have a moratorium that says that basically they cannot dig into our streets after we repair them for a period of 3 years unless there's an emergency. So we'll go out and try to verify and make sure that there's a bona fide emergency before they start tearing up a new street. And then once they do dig into a new street, we make sure that they do a full width patching of the street and for at least 30 feet wide. Okay. And that helps ensure the integrity of that repair so it doesn't pop out and deteriorate.
Right, and you don't get the potholes and the other things that can happen when the weather changes, especially in winter. Once it gets cold and then it starts warming up, I know those little patches would end up doing those nice little sinkhole things that people just don't like to see.
That's true. That's why we try to go back beyond where the actual hole was dug, so we get a good bond and the repairs will last longer.
Well, thank you. On behalf of the residents that are watching, thank you. I know we all appreciate that. Now, we're talking about roads, and even though Laurel Laurel has that nice feel, small town feel, but I mean, we're a good size, especially with all the roads that we have in here. Now, what is the mileage of the roads that we maintain? How much of it?
We measure the mileage by the length of the road, not by number of lanes. So even we have I think it's about 54.7 miles of highway or roads within the city, and once a year, usually it's required in November, December, I have to submit a complete evaluation of how many roads we have in the city, and this is used by the state to determine our highway user fees, which comes out of gasoline taxes. Okay. Unfortunately, for the last 2 years, the highway or the state has had budget problems like most cities, and they haven't provided any of this highway user funds to the city. So that means that we are usually short on some of the funding that would normally come from gasoline taxes.
Right. Okay. Now, we're talking about, you're talking about the street improvements and, the things that you do. What is the process? So say a resident comes to you and says, I've got all this stuff going on. What is the process for street improvement projects?
Well, annually, we don't do this annually. We do this every 2 or 3 years. We will do a non-destructive test on various street roads that we anticipate are starting to deteriorate, or some of the older roads. On the basis of this non-destructive test, we are able to have an empirical formula that we can use to determine the priority of what streets need to be repaired. Okay. As you would expect, street repairs, completely repairing a roadway can be fairly expensive. And unfortunately, we are not able to budget all of these streets at one time. So we use this non-destructive test data to prioritize the street projects. I mentioned a little bit earlier about the capital improvement program. The capital improvement program is a fiscal program. It's a fiscal plan that helps us spread the infrastructure requirements for the city over several years. We do this annually, and it covers the current proposed budget. Like right now, the council has just approved the capital improvement program for fiscal year 2013, which is what is funded, and then we have an additional 5 years where we've spread programs out to kind of stabilize the money that's going from taxes into various types of programs.
Tries to make it a little more cost effective, so it spreads it out.
That's correct.
Okay.
This is approved annually by the mayor and city council, and they just recently approved the fiscal year program for the CIP for FY13, 2013. One of the things that we do when we actually put together a bid project, once we have the roads and projects prioritized and we're ready to start implementing part of the CIP, our engineering department actually puts out bid requests, and we get bids to do the projects.
So it's a request for bid or requests for pricing, or it's RFP or something?
An RFP is a request for proposal.
Request for proposal, okay.
But prior to that, we also have engineering plans and specifications and a bid package that's put together. We have three companies that currently provide work for us as design consultants. Every few years, we put together a request for proposals from various engineering firms that want to do work for the city. And then the last time we did that, we had like 18 different A&E firms that sent us proposals. We selected 3. This is on a quality type basis evaluation. And the 3 that we selected were Greenhorn and O'Mara, Burns and Nipel, and KCI. These 3 then are the 3 engineering contractors or consultants that we use to do our design specification work. And we compete each project among these 3 so that we still get a competitive bid type process and ensure that we get the best price and the best value for the city.
Smart move. I mean, considering the way the economy is nowadays, you don't know what could trickle down from the state or from federal, so you've got to try and save the residents as much money as possible, you know. So it sounds like you're doing a great job. For everyone out there, I'll say thank you, you know. Okay, so now you talked about plans and all that. When you do plan reviews, what are you looking for?
Well, the Public Works review of site, landscape, subdivision, and grade establishment plans is limited to features and characteristics that impact the department's maintenance activities, delivery of service, the public safety concerns. The general concerns which guide these reviews include street and parking lot design specifications, includes traffic patterns and controls. We are very concerned with traffic congestion, and so we try to design it so that you have the best traffic flow possible with the anticipated traffic volume buildup over the next several years that we'll be using those roads. We look at a lot of safety things, and safety things that impact costs on services previously provided by the Department of Public Works, and safety in general for the public.
Now, at the beginning of this interview, you had talked about trash pickup. You know, you have a certain department, a certain amount of people that you work with that go around. So one of the things is you know, people need to throw their trash out, but it's also mandatory, is it not, in the city to recycle? So what are required? What are the requirements? What are residents required in order to separate, you know, the trash from the recycling?
You're right. It is mandatory. We have an ordinance in the city that says you are required to separate your refuge and your recycled material. It's part of this is necessary to save your taxpayer dollars. It conserves energy and contributes to a general safer, sustainable planet. For years, all trash was either buried in landfills or burned in a large incinerator. The buried waste in landfills contributes to toxic waste that leaches into the watershed and waterways, and burning contributes to contaminants in the atmosphere. Improvements have been made in both systems, but that makes them more costly, and there are fewer of these facilities to treat our ever-increasing amounts of trash. The most cost-effective system available to us today is to separate all recycled material from regular trash and take the recycled material to a processing plant where the various materials are separated and sent to a manufacturing plant. The various components are sold to other companies that make products out of these recycled materials. Now, one of the things that has made it easier for you to recycle is that a few years ago, you may recall, we had these trucks that would come by that had all the bins on the side, and you had to separate your newspaper from your glass.
Right.
And there were a lot of things at that point that weren't considered recyclable.
Right.
They have now gone to what they refer to as a single stream recycling, which means that you can put all of your recycled materials in the same bin, and then the separation is done at the plant where we deliver the recycled materials.
Thank goodness.
They do a combination of machine type of sorting, some hand sorting, but they are able to separate all the material at the receiving site rather than having you do it individually. Reducing quantities of regular trash, that reduces trash disposal costs, and that also saves taxpayer dollars and can be used for other critical projects such as street repairs. It saves energy, it protects clean air and water, it saves landfill space, that creates jobs on people that are doing remanufacturing. It enables you to make a positive difference in your community.
Yeah, and that's one of the main things, is let's reduce what we put in the landfill out there, most definitely. So
there is another process that is being looked at. It's called plasma gasification, and you may hear about it. The city is proactive in trying to find ways to improve the use of recycled materials.
Definitely.
This is a system that actually burns up all the trash and converts it into a gas that can be converted into energy sources, either into electricity or into a petroleum product.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there is a high cost in doing that.
Right.
They have developed some plants that are actually working in Europe, but the cost is so high that getting it started is just something that we are not able to do. So again, trying to get the best value for the city. Right now, the best value is for you to recycle and then let us use the recycled material for other manufacturing goods.
Great. So we'll be keeping our eyes out on this process that's out there, but we want to make sure it's cost effective for the residents.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, so we talked about the recycle, the trash. Now, there's things out there. You know, you have the tires, you have used oil, you have electronic parts. What would residents need to do? Because this obviously, this stuff cannot be thrown into the regular trash and it cannot be recycled. So what can the residents do with these materials?
Well, there are other things that we do in Public Works as far as picking up materials and picking up recycles. It's certainly true that tires and refrigerators have refrigerant material in them that has to be purged before we can dispose of them. So there is a charge for picking these up, but we do have special pickups once every Wednesday of each week.
Great. And
you can call in advance to schedule a special pickup. I've had people call and say, well, they picked up this, but they left some things. You need to be aware that because tires, for example, cannot be mixed with yard debris, the truck that picks up yard debris takes all that to a recycling place that makes mulch. It cannot have tires in that. So we will have on Wednesday maybe 2 or 3 different types of trucks that pass through the community picking up the various types of special pickup materials such as refrigerators or tires or yard debris. Okay.
Now the new thing out there is the CFL light bulbs. I believe it's CFL if I remember correctly. What can someone do? Because more people are starting to use it. It does last longer, but it's my understanding, isn't there mercury in these bulbs, and they can't just be thrown in the regular trash? So is there something that can be done with those?
They can be set aside separately, and we'll pick those up on a special pickup again on Wednesdays.
Okay, so you can set them out with the trash, but set them aside separately and mark them so people know so that the public works workers know what they are.
They will see them. They'll know how to pick them up.
Okay.
And do it.
Okay,
now,
great.
we do have other special pickups or special events, like one of the things that can't be thrown in your trash is your electronic devices, your
Exactly.
TVs.
Mm-hmm.
We schedule twice a year a special event for recycling electronic materials.
Great.
And that includes TVs, all your various types of electronic equipment that you want to put in with that.
Computer parts and monitors and things like that.
I just this past week we had a semi-trailer truck that picked up 14 flats of TVs. Our next scheduled event for the residents to get rid of this at no cost to the residents is to bring them to the Public Works Department on April the 14th, and we'll be collecting all your any type of recycled electronic TVs or computers that you don't want that have become obsolete. We actually get credit for the tonnage of recycled electronics as part of a pollution abatement program that even the state is looking at.
Great. Now, if I remember correctly, they do that, but don't they do shredding as well?
We do. We combine it with a paper shredding. If you have paper that you don't want to just throw in the trash because you think there's some information on it that someone might use to steal your identity, you can bring paper to Public Works also on April the 14th. They have a very large shredder that they bring in, so they dump in whole boxes of materials. You don't have to do it 5 sheets at a time. You can dump the whole box into the shredder, and
it'll take care
of it. And it puts it into small enough pieces that it's very difficult for someone to put it back together.
Someone to tape it back together, exactly. Yeah. So give us what is the address of Public Works? Because I know it used to be held up here at City Hall, but I know that in recent times you've moved it back down to Public Works. So let people know the address so they'll know where to go.
The address is on 1st Street, and probably the easiest way is to come down Main Street to the Mark train station, make a right turn, and at the first gate you come to, past the parking lot for Mark train station, that's the entrance, the back entrance into the Public Works Department facility. So you can drive in that way. We'll have a one-way traffic. We'll have a sign. There's an entrance on 2nd Street, but for the recycle event, we try to have it come down 1st Street. You will enter off of 1st Street and you'll exit onto 2nd Street.
Oh, great. That's excellent.
While you're down there, let me just tell you, there's a couple other types of things that you need to dispose of that we have ways of helping you. We have a used oil facility, used oil disposal that we work in conjunction with the Maryland Department of the Environment. And that's right by the Stone Building just before you get to this gate that goes into our facility.
Okay.
So on 1st Street, there's a place and signs where you can actually dispose of used fuel oil.
Fantastic. I know that'll make people happy.
And on the front entrance, at the front entrance to the Public Works Department, also on 1st Street, we have a large cart there with a sign, and you can get rid of all your used DVDs or various types of
CDs,
memory,
discs, that type
and
of.
discs.
Okay,
yes.
Great, fantastic. Now you mentioned the event in April with the recycling, the electronic cycling and shredding event, but April also is special for Public Works because isn't that spring cleanup month? Is there something? Do you have anything going on with that the public should be aware of?
The mayor has designated the month of April as the spring cleanup month for the city of Laurel. And to help provide some incentive with what we are doing in the month of April is instead of having just the one yard debris pickup each week,
right.
we're changing it. So for in April, there'll be both a pickup for yard debris on Monday as well as on Wednesday.
Fantastic.
Also, I mentioned earlier that we have a special pickup on Wednesday for large materials like appliances or used broken
Tires
sofas and stuff.
Right.
There's a basic $10 fee for the initial pickup, plus maybe some special charges for the type of thing that you're disposing of.
Like the big refrigerator, you would need to pay a special fee.
But
right.
for the month of April, there are 2 dates in the month of April. I think it's the 2nd and the 3rd Wednesday in April.
Okay.
That first $10 fee has been, we'll dismiss that and won't be charging you. So here's a chance to do some cleanup and avoid the initial $10 pickup fee.
Great. So this is a chance to get the house cleaned out, do that spring cleanup thing, and you can take advantage of the specials that the city is offering for this month.
That's correct.
Great. Now, I know people ask, Public Works, what is it what are you trying to accomplish, And the standard answer is, great customer service with the residents. You want to make sure that you all are there for them. But why don't you, give us your take. What is Public Works trying to accomplish with the city and its residents?
Well, let me just back up a minute and say, I've retired from the corporate world. I've retired from the military, so I've retired a couple of times. But,
yeah, sounds like it.
But 10 years ago, I came out of retirement again. I saw a need to, and I had a desire to help work with the city of Laurel because I wanted to help make the community I had chosen to retire in a better place to live. I had already decided that this was a great place to live, but I wanted to help make it even better. Providing the best possible service in the most cost-effective manner entails hiring good staff. It involves providing ongoing training and keeping them motivated to perform at an outstanding professional level. It involves managing budgets and getting staff to take ownership of their work, output, and taking pride in their city. It is about my concept of making a positive difference in our city. This involves not only my staff, but it involves all the residents of Laurel. Usually when someone asks, can you make a difference, we tend to think, we put up our defenses and say, oh, here it comes. They want me to volunteer to do something or contribute to his or her favorite cause. And it has the implication that if we're not volunteering for your favorite project or contributing to your cause, that we're not making a difference. To me, making a positive difference means rising above the level of mediocrity to influence change for the betterment of the society or community that we live in. We all have this capacity and the capability to do this. Since we all make some kind of a difference, maybe the better question is, what kind of a difference are you making?
Good question.
Most of us want to live in a safe, friendly, attractive community with lots of amenities and to enjoy this, but we don't want to get involved. My question is, what are you doing to help make things better? What exactly is your dramatic difference? There are all things that we can do.
Right.
Your tax dollars pay for Public Works to provide designated services, but we are just one of the community teams, and I want to motivate you, the resident, to be part of the team also. For example, Public Works picks up recyclables, but before we can pick them up, you must separate the recyclables from regular waste and set the recyclables out by the curb on the designated day. In 2011, thanks to positive results from city residents about recycling, the city total trash disposal was reduced by over 100 tons for the year. That was good, but I know you can do even better. Another example is spring is coming, and you need to cut your grass. Now, we pick up yard debris once a week on Wednesday. It doesn't cost you anything. You just have to call and tell us, and we'll come pick it up. But before we can pick it up, you've got to cut your yard.
Right.
And that is something that you need to take pride in. Cutting your grass, don't let it get too high. Cut it, and then we'll pick and then bag the grass clippings or the tree branches that you cut off, and that can help make a difference. You need to cooperate with what we're trying to do, and we can all then help make a difference. You can also do grass recycle. You can let your grass clippings, if you cut it frequently and it doesn't get too long, leave your grass clippings on the grass, and this also provides nutrients back to the soil. You can also do things such as set up a mulch pile in your back. You can take some of your yard debris and other things and put it in a mulch pile, and that converts into some of the best dirt that you can find for putting in your gardens. Just one word of caution about mulch piles is don't put meat products in your mulch pile, because that tends to bring in rodents. And,
Yes,
and then you
yes.
call us again, and we have to come out and try to help tell you how to get rid of the animals.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, you give a great point. I mean, if you live in this city, you don't want the different. If you cut the grass, you won't have another department, which we will have on eventually. We're going to have community planning and business services, but that's code enforcement. That way, code enforcement doesn't come out. You get the nutrients back into your grass if you do the grass recycling. But bag it up if you don't and put it out, and Public Works will be there to pick it up for you. So, I mean, is there anything else? You have touched upon so much. I mean, we greatly appreciate all this wonderful information. Is there anything else that you wanted to let us know about?
I want to mention again the Public Works 2012 calendar. Mm-hmm. I call this a residence handbook in addition to a calendar.
And it is.
On each page where there's a calendar, we also have at the top of the page, there are a number of information, facts, and things that will help you in how to recycle and do other things for yourself and help make the city better.
Great.
How to recycle, when to recycle material. It's all picked up in your neighborhood, and what happens to your recyclables. It talks about this in the calendar handbook.
Great.
One of the things if you turn your calendar to the month of December, mm-hmm. above the calendar for December, there are like 8 specific things that you can do to help recycle. These are kind of resolutions, but you don't have to wait till December. Take a look at that now, and some of those things you can start doing immediately.
Oh, that's great. So get a lot of good tips in that. I mean,
yes.
And if I remember correctly, I mean, if you can hang it on your refrigerator or something, it literally marks on there when recycling days are, when trash days are for your neighborhood, when special pickups are. So you have information right at your fingertips.
That's correct. If by way you can't find your 2012 Public Works calendar, call Public Works and we'll provide one to you, or stop by there and pick up one. We have a few left over.
Oh, great.
But again, the reason we went from strictly just a handbook to a calendar handbook is that the calendar tends to stay around all year long, and a lot of the
yes.
questions that people call us about, we've tried to answer in the calendar handbook so that you can see these, and it gives you something you can have available, and it does identify days for special pickups and events.
Right, so make sure to hang that calendar up. If you don't, get into contact with Public Works. And speaking of which, why don't you let everyone know what the phone number is and give them the website, so that way they can visit, because I know that there's wonderful information on the website as well.
The city has a website,
mm-hmm.
and the same website you can, when you go to the city's website, you can scroll down and find the Public Works on there, and when you click on Public Works, it brings you up to our page with special events that we're doing.
And what's the web address, I believe?
It's
Laurel, I believe it's laurel.md.us.
Yes.
It's at the bottom of your screen here, so make sure to visit that, check things out. And what is the phone number, in case people want to call?
The phone number is 301-725-0088, and that rings at the reception desk in Public Works.
And it gets you Alex.
And that will get you Alex. And if Alex can't help you, she'll connect you up with someone that can help you.
Great. All right. Well, I think you have just given us so much information. I mean, you made up for not being on for a while. So thank you very much for coming on. We'll make sure to have you on regularly so you can keep it up. So probably sometime in the summer, talk about what's going on, especially with the heat, and the dryness coming on. You can probably let us know some tips about what's happening, with Public Works, what residents can do. And then, of course, we'll definitely have to have you back on in the fall, because there's going to be lots of tips, about your Christmas trees and all that good stuff. So thank you again for coming on. I appreciate you giving us time today. And thanks to the residents for watching. I hope you got some great stuff. If you didn't, replay it, because there was a lot of good stuff here, okay? So you all have a great day. Thanks again to Paul McCullough, who is the Director of Public Works.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here and being able to talk with you today.
All right. So tune in next time. We will have another edition next month of Government to the People, Laurel Links. I'm Karen Kobeck, your host. Have a great day. Thanks.